Welcome aboard. Another edition of the Unash and Dukes podcast coming your way here on our YouTube channel, Unash and Dukes podcast. Just go to that. You can catch all the old episodes. You can catch this one, future episodes as well. Subscribe to our page and give us a like out there. We'll also have the link up at Twitter and Facebook, all of those places, whichever one you prefer. And you can go to crmlivesports.com as well to catch up on all of the archived episodes. And we are presented by Emil's Hideaway, First Avenue Southeast in Cedar Rapids. They're right across from the Lindale Mall and next to the Home Depot. Couldn't do it without them. They're open at 4 o'clock Monday through Saturday. Also, can't do our segment with Mark Ironside without the great help of Kurt Gustafson Agency of American Family Insurance. Kurt, on Johnson Avenue Northwest in Cedar Rapids, right across from the Johnson Avenue Hy-V. And just a terrific supporter of ours in wrestling. And couldn't do it without him. And we tip our hat to those folks out there. And Mark Ironside joins us fresh off of State College, Pennsylvania, in a whirlwind visit on a Saturday and Sunday for the Big Ten Men's Wrestling Championships. And not a surprise, Penn State won her. I don't think anybody's shocked about that. But I guess to start things off here, Mark, your overall thoughts on how things went, not only for Iowa, but just the entire meet. Any one individual catch your eye, thought did a great job, whether it's a Hawkeye or somebody else or a team? Just what'd you think?
Well, I think first of all, Penn State did a really, really good job hosting the event. It was, in Bryce Jordan Arena, there was all kinds of room. It was really spread out. It was up on all four mats were up on the stage. Um, they having a nice auxiliary gym there off, kind of down through the tunnel for all the athletes to kind of have as a warm-up area and a camp area. And it was really, really good. It was just really well run, stayed the course. Um, Everything was just really, really smooth. It was good. It was awesome. Obviously, the place, I think there was about 13,000 people there every session, which is awesome in itself. And I'd say 90% of them were Penn State fans. Um, but it was good. It was just good wrestling all around. It was a good environment. It was a good tournament. I think, we were talking last week, Iowa finishing third, fourth. I think if they finished right around, I figured honestly fourth, which is where we were. Third would be really, really good, and we'd have to have a great tournament to finish third. If we got fifth, it's like, I don't know, probably let a few slip away. And but fourth is about, where I thought, which, people say, hey, you wrestled way above your seeds. We were if you wrestled to the seeds, we are going to get seventh according to Flow. Um, but I think some of those seeds were pretty bad. And if we couldn't wrestle above some of those seeds, we're in trouble. And everybody wrestled to their seed or higher, except for Patrick Kennedy, who was seeded third and got fourth. He lost to Harshla for third and fourth, which that's not like a terrible thing. I mean, that's a tough weight class, and he's gone back and forth with Harshla. Um, so that's not terrible. And then Brock Ryder, or Ryder Block, I'm sorry, got ninth, wrestled back, got the ninth, which gave him the automatic bid to get into the national tournament in Cleveland. But he was seeded eighth, so he's one step below. But he also took the number one seed undefeated Van Ness from Penn State down to the wire and lost 5-4. But if we've been talking about it all year long, it's not just the win loss, but it's how you lose. And how you lose a match on four stall calls, it's just like, oh my gosh, like how? How? I don't get it. But it just goes to show, like he took Van Ness down in the duel in Iowa City. He took Van Ness down there. I mean, the freaking kid can wrestle. The kid's freaking good. We just have to give him to finish a match, between I think weight control and mentality a little bit, just getting tougher and figure it out. But at this point in the season, I mean, we're in the postseason. That should be figured out by now. And I don't know why he's still struggling with that at this point in the season. So I don't know. But overall, as far as individuals go, I don't know, nobody really stuck out like simply amazing. Obviously Messenbrink and did really well and wrestled well. I thought, um, was it Taylor that wrestled Levi Haynes pretty tough? Or no, it was Minto. Minto wrestled Levi Haynes pretty tough at 74. I don't know if Haynes even got a takedown on Minto. I don't think that he did. I can tell you right now, I have the brackets right here. 174. Yeah, it was 2-1.
Hmm.
2-1 was the final between Haynes and Minto for Nebraska. Nebraska had a pretty good tournament. Finishing they get third, I think. Yeah,
Yeah.
behind Ohio State. And Ohio State had a pretty good tournament. So, I mean, the Big Ten's tough every year. I mean, that's where it's at is the Big Ten conference. Uh, and they get most allocations, which is very deserving. So I thought Ben Keeter had a good tournament. He seeded 10th and ended up getting what, third or fourth?
Fourth.
Keeter get fourth. Yeah, he lost to Feldman 6-2. So, but that's the second time this year I think he's lost to him 6-2, and he beat him twice last year. So um, we're slipping there. We need to get better there. I don't know why we were beating him before. Now we're losing. That's something that needs to be turned back around into our favor. But it showed Ben Keeter really what he's capable of, and especially at a tough weight in the Big Ten, like heavyweight always is.
Mark, I thought the key for Iowa, granted a fourth place finish isn't up to Iowa standards, but getting fourth, the whole key was wrestling on the backside, and that is not easy to do once you get knocked out of that winner's bracket, especially for a guy like Kennedy or somebody like that. But the success on the backside and really propelled Iowa, I think, and that's not easy to do.
No, it's really not easy to do. And Sunday morning, I think we had four consolation semifinal matches no, I'm sorry, five to see if
Mhm.
you went for third or fifth. And we won four out of those five matches. That's big. That's really, really big. The only one we lost was Peterson to Bazakis, and that was a close match. It was 6-4 match, and they were in a scramble situation, and um, Peterson had gotten hurt earlier in the tournament, kind of dinged his knee up a little bit. And I know that he got in that situation and he's really good at scrambling and kind of gave it up because he didn't want to further injure his knee, which obviously is smart with the national tournament coming up. But at the same time, we cannot. That's how we get injured. I mean, you talk about injuries. Injuries is like, you don't ever want to use this game. Well, we've been hurt. We've been hurt. We've been hurt. But at the same time, Penn State's never hurt. Why is Penn State never hurt? I mean, very, very, very seldom. Well, because they're dictating the match. They're in control of the match. They're in not letting guys in on their legs. They're not, like Peterson's a perfect example. We're out for 2 weeks of the season because we're rolling on our head, doing a somersault in the air, and we get caught on our neck. But at the same time, we're there because Lilladall's in on our leg. And then we're wrestling a guy from Northwestern at the Big Tens, and we tweak our knee because the guy's in on our leg. Like you just, what's his name? Ferrari, 84. He gets hurt, something with his foot or whatever. He's out for the rest of the season up until postseason against Welsh in the dual meet. Where do we get hurt? On the edge of the mat with him in on our leg. We're fighting off a takedown for a winner or loss in the dual meet. He's in on our leg. Like that's where you get hurt is when you're on the defense. If you're on the offense and you're dictating the pace of the match, you're in on their legs, you're in control, you're not going to get hurt near as often. So it's unfortunate that you do get hurt, and it's not like it's a shoulder thing where just over time from just being in the sport of wrestling and just it's hard on your shoulders from lots of different areas and stuff, but they're acute injuries and where it happens right then and there, something bad happens. Well, a lot of it's because it's kind of putting ourselves in harm's way, and it's something that we it's an area that we need to look at and just get better at, and not that goes along with the style of wrestling and not and putting points on the scoreboard and being more dominant. When you're doing that, you're in control and you don't get hurt near as much. You're not in harm's way near as much.
41,
I even
we were
answer your
kind of
question, Mark. I don't even remember what you asked me at this point.
Yeah, you did. Yeah, no problem.
41. We were didn't know what Bailey we would get, and I thought Bailey wrestled pretty well over
Yeah,
the weekend.
that's the best I've seen Bailey wrestle in an Iowa Hawkeye singlet since he's been here, since he got on campus. He took third in the Big Ten. What was he seeded going in? Fourth?
Fourth.
Hmm.
Yeah, fourth, so he wrestled above his seed. He beat Von Bauer from Minnesota 7-4, which is that was the match he got hurt in. He got his finger hurt in or broken, and that's another example. If we're in a neutral situation and a guy's grabbing on our fingers and stuff, but if we have an inside tie on him, we have a 2-on-1 on him, we're on his head. He's not grabbing our fingers. We're not out there playing twiddly winks and we don't get a broken finger. But he had a really good tournament. He should have, would have, could have had a major the first match of the tournament. I don't even remember who it was against. I just remember thinking we should have had a major there. The second match against Ragusin of Michigan, he gets a major. He majored Ragusin. That's a good win, let alone getting a major there. And then he beats Oliveri from Rutgers in a really tough match in the consolation semifinals. 11-6. I mean, he put some points on the scoreboard this weekend. He looked good. He absolutely got destroyed against Mendez. He got teched, but that's a mental thing. At the end of the first period, it was like 1-0. And then, he ends up getting teched. You can't, he has to learn how to wrestle 7 minutes tough, like 7 minutes tough. It's just a mental thing with him, but he showed that he is capable of doing really good things for sure. It's just a matter of him against those tough opponents that gonna put you on that All-American stand. Those are the ones and those are the matches that you need to come out on top of, and you got to make it you got to last 7 minutes, just like what he did against Von Bauer. That was a big match. That was a big win.
I thought Drake Ayala had a good meet too. And in that semifinal against Blaze, it looked like there was a point late in the match where the referee kind of leaned in to say something, and Drake flinched a little bit, and Blaze got in on him, and that was that. But Drake finished third. Tough weight.
Yeah, it's a really tough weight in the Big Ten and in the country. Who would have thought that the national finals would be wrestled in the consolation semifinals or the consolations for third place at the Big Tens the next year, with two freshmen wrestling in the finals in front of them. So you got two seniors that were national finalists the previous year wrestling for third, while two freshmen are wrestling in the finals. That's crazy, crazy. And but Drake had a good tournament. He really, really did. He ended up beating Bird for um, the consolation semifinals to go for third. He beat Bird in sudden victory overtime. He got a nice takedown there, and then he ended up beating Fugit, who beat him from Wisconsin, who beat him during the season this year. He won that one by a 4-2 decision, and he lost to Blaze by 4-1. But he had two. Here's the thing: we can compliment Drake, and he did good. He got third. Okay, he was the number 5 seed coming in, but we're winning in overtime and we're losing in overtime. They don't. It's like Tom keeps saying over and over in a lot of his interviews. They don't have to be this hard. Like they don't have to be this close. Like we don't have to wait to overtime to start wrestling, and that's what we're doing against Bird. That's what we're doing against Blaze. Whatever you got to figure out, whatever you got to do, try to get it done in the first period. Score first, score often, score last. That's what kind of you always live by. Score first, score often, score last. And just because that guy is hanging out and playing the touch and go game for the first 7 minutes of the match, that doesn't mean that you do the same thing. Okay? I mean, they're walking off the mat. I mean, you're going into overtime and their heart rates aren't even above 100. It's like neither one of them are doing a damn thing. Like, this is terrible for TV. Like, don't let it come down to the slipping on a wet spot on the mat or a referee's call or just one score wins or one scramble wins. I mean, you're playing with fire, and you're going to win sometimes and you're going to get burnt sometimes. And that's what happened with Drake. He got burnt, he lost to Blaze, but he beat he beat Bird like that. And Drake wrestled well. He stayed in pretty good position and he had some good matches in a tough weight class, like you mentioned. I just like to see him just taking more control and trying to win those matches earlier in the match and not letting it come down to overtime. And he's very capable of doing it too. I mean, he's got loads of offense and just need to get him to kind of it's and again it's between the ears. It's stepping up mentally and just in your mind knowing I'm getting a takedown this first period. I'm going to make this guy work this first period. And we just don't do it.
Nobody associated with Iowa wrestling, likes fourth. And I will say this, it was a little bit encouraging by the fact that most of the Iowa wrestlers did finish above their seeds. I guess there's a little bit of a green up arrow going into Cleveland next week and the Nationals. Still a lot of work to do this week, no doubt about that before the seeds come out. But um, I guess my question is there is a little bit of improvement and there's a little bit of confidence going into Cleveland.
For sure. I was in the room. We got back at 10, probably 10:30 on Sunday night, and I was in the room the next morning at 7:30 a.m. And I was in the room the next morning at 7 a.m. And I'll tell you what, those guys were in there lifting both Monday and Tuesday mornings early. I mean, there was no real time off. They had time off the mat. They just wrestled their hearts out all weekend long. And that was a grueling weekend going through the Big Ten championship. So Tom did the right thing and kept them off the mat. But they were in there lifting. The music's going. The vibe's good. I mean, I really like the mojo, I guess, in the room and the vibe in the room and how things are with these guys. They're excited to get to the national. It was the same thing going into the Big Tens too. It just felt like they were ready to go and kind of prove some people wrong, and they did. And I think they got a taste of that. And now it's time to step it up another notch or a couple notches going into Cleveland. So it'd be interesting to see what happens. And I think that we came out of the Big Ten championships. Pretty unscathed without any major injuries. Like I said, Peterson got dinged up a little bit. I don't think anybody got any hurt any worse than what they already were leading into the Big Tens and made things worse. So I think I think we're going to be feeling good going into the Nationals. And I know the actual brackets and pairings come out tonight. So we'll know a lot more on tonight and then tomorrow morning.
Mark, I was happened to be in my vehicle listening to you and Stephen during the Block Van Ness match, and I would have given anything to have a camera along with the voice. You must have said circle 20 times in the last period. It was just I had to pull my vehicle over so I could listen to the end of it. Because I didn't want to do anything in traffic, and I'd wreck my vehicle. But it must have been excruciating to watch.
Yeah, I don't know. It's tough to watch, it's for sure. When we have the number one ranked guy in the country on the ropes, and it's such a big match. I mean, that alone should be the motivator to just dig deep and find a way and just hang on to this and circle and keep your butt in the center of the mat. And obviously it just wasn't. Like those stall calls were warranted. I mean, there was no like, I don't know about that. I mean, he literally pretty much just walked right out of bounds. And it just, to me, it just should not be that hard to keep, number one, stay in the middle. And number two, just circle, keep your butt to the center. But when your body gets so exhausted like that and so tired, it takes a pretty mentally tough and strong individual to be stronger than and overcome what your body's telling you. Your body's going to tell you one thing. It's like the old saying, your mind will tire before your body. And that's so true as well. But when your body is shutting down, it's like it's tired. It takes a lot of mental strength and attitude just to say, hey, too bad. We got to keep going for another minute or two here. And Block just doesn't have that in him, or didn't have it in him against that match against Ness. And it was very unfortunate because That can you imagine if we beat Ness and Iowa got beat Ness at Penn State in I think it was like the quarterfinal round, like how big that would have been. Like just I mean that's what I don't get. It's just having them on the ropes that close, being the situation, like that alone should have just been like being tired shouldn't have been a factor. Like shouldn't have been a factor in your mind right now. Like I got to win this match, and I don't know. He just let it get to us.
9 are going, what you predicted last week. So I guess that's what ended up, and see if all 9 can go there and wrestle above their seeds when they get to Cleveland.
Yeah, we got 9 going. I know a lot of other schools have 10. You know, Ohio State, Nebraska, Penn State, Iowa State, Okie State. They all have 10 going. So we're kind of a man down from that department. So I mean, we're gonna have to make up for it. I think if Voinovich would have been able to get one of them at large bids, I think he would have scored a couple of points for us at nationals for sure. I think he would have won a match or two, and and he had an opportunity to be an automatic qualifier there and just fell a little short. So but yeah, we'll see. We'll kind of see how the seedings come out tonight and kind of go from there. I know Iowa State, they had an okay Big 12s. They had 9 automatic qualifiers. They got one at large with was that Zerbin, I think, or something, Vinny Zerbin. Um boy, Doug Schwab,
I was going to
geez,
ask you about UNI. I mean, how 10th in the Big 12s? That's
10th.
that's not good.
No, that's not good at all. And then would they have 3 automatic qualifiers or 2? And I think 2, and they got 4 at large bids.
Mhm.
That's like, yeah, I don't know what happened there, but that's pretty low. I'm sure Doug was obviously not a happy camper because they're expecting a lot more than that. So that's kind of a weird deal too, which I'm sure everybody's seen was talking about with a tornado warning right during the right during the matches while they're live in the matches, and you got to stop the matches during the middle of a match to go seek shelter. That's something new and never happened before. It kind of made it a little bit entertaining factor.
As a former Hodge winner, you have a vote. You have an early front runner.
I don't. I don't ever look at that stuff really until it's over. Once it's all over, the Nationals is over. Brian Van Clay from the Win magazine, that is the sponsor, puts out the Hodge Trophy every year, and who created it years ago, Mike Chapman, and it's awesome that they do that. They send out all the statistics to us. They send out who the candidates for it are. They sent out their win-loss records, all their stats, how many falls they got, how many pins they got, techs they got, majors they got, regular decisions, RPI. I mean, there's all that type of stuff to take into consideration, look at. So I don't, up until that point, I don't really ever think about it.
Well, give me
Yes.
Messenbrink. You can have Mendez. I'll take Messenbrink.
I don't know. I mean, dominance is the biggest one. That's the biggest thing about that award is dominance, and they're both very, very, very dominant. But I always tend to lean towards the most falls. The falls is the optimum of wrestling, and a lot of people just they don't pin anymore. Nobody pins anymore. I mean, it's so easy now to get a tech with these 3-point takedowns and 4-point near falls that it just that's where the focus is at. And I still like pinning. Like pinning's fun. Like I don't care where you're at. Like whether it's a home meet or it's the Big Tens or tournament or whatever, and somebody gets a pin, everybody looks and like, oh my gosh, they got a pin over there. That's exciting. That's fun. That's what brings fans out of the seats. It just roars like crazy when you win by tech. It's superior domination, but it's not like they're just like, oh my god, yes, he got the tech, he got the tech. It's just not the same. There's just something to be said for getting an actual pin or a fall and the excitement because it's not easy to make happen. So that's why I want to look at all the stats and see. And I just wish that people would put more emphasis on pinning. So, but it's just kind of a lost art anymore.
True. Now, before brackets come out, before seedings come out, anything like that, um, obviously Penn State's the favorite going to Cleveland. They're going to have a bunch of people there. It's not that far. Ohio State's gonna have a bunch of people there too. It's gonna be like an Ohio State Penn State dual meet, more than likely. Um, do you give Okie State any shot of catching Penn State just
No,
today?
no.
Nope. How close can they come?
50 points, maybe,
Ooh,
probably 60. 50 points, I'd say, somewhere in there. So, I mean, Oklahoma State, they showed some weakness a little bit at the Big 12s. They didn't come through that smelling like roses and getting a whole bunch of bonus points and so forth or whatever, right? Um, I think, I mean, they're the closest team. I can tell you that they're the closest team. But I don't think they're quite near where Penn State is as a whole yet. They're getting there. So, but I think the first couple of days will be semi close. But as you get down to that third day, and especially Saturday morning, I think you're going to really start seeing that gap being spread. But I think you're probably going to see about a 50-point difference.
I think Ohio State might could get Okie State behind with the crowd behind them.
I don't know. Maybe it'll make it interesting, and that's kind of where we're at, and that's how it used to be with Iowa. I mean, Iowa was pretty much the shoe in to win it on a regular basis, but that's how Penn State's been for the last 9, 10 years. I mean, it's just on a regular basis without a couple of years in there for Iowa around 2021, 22. Um, but the exciting tournament is second through sixth. I mean, like it's just going to be like who's like second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth. They're all interchanging all the time. So that's where kind of the excitement's coming because Penn State's just kind of in a league of their own still right now. But Okie State's definitely nipping at their heels, and Tom Ryan got Big Ten Coach of the Year, which was really cool to see and deserving. And he's trying to hang right with Penn State the best he can. So it'll be interesting to see who pulls out second and third at the national tournament.
History was made in Corva, Mark. I'm sure you would have liked to have been there at least for the finals, but first women's national championship. I think it's a great thing. Not so great for Iowa. Really close team race with McKendree, but it seemed like a wildly successful event. I know Iowa would like to have won that event. I think three champions. So, what did you hear and see out of the women's tournament?
Well, I watched a lot of it on the computer Friday evening, the night session on Friday night, and then also during the day on evening on Saturday while we were at the Big Tens. My partner Steven and I were watching on the computer while we were calling the action at the Big Tens too and following it. Number one, it's just awesome that it's sanctioned through the NCAA. It was the NCAA they rolled out the red carpet. They didn't hold anything back with all the exposure that they gave and all the props that they gave and the belts for winning, the plaques for winning. There was just so much there that they put into advertising and just making the venue, the Extreme Arena, look like $1 million and NCAA everywhere. And it was really awesome for the girls. Just a fantastic event for the girls. Josh Schomburger and his team did an amazing job as always, like they always do. Anything that wrestling oriented and in Coralville and Extreme Arena that I mean they call it Wrestling Town USA for a reason, and it was really evident this last Friday Saturday. As far as the outcome goes, yeah, it was unfortunate for Iowa. I mean, having it basically in their home arena, right there, and then not win it and getting a second, that was kind of unfortunate for them. But at the same time, McKendree, they showed up and they competed hard and they wrestled. There's some things there that a lot of people don't know about McKendree. I know that there's two girls on that team for McKendree that they don't even go to school at McKendree. I mean, they're part of the Army program, the WACAP program out of in Colorado Springs. They just take online classes and show up to the competitions. Two of the girls that won national titles for McKendree, they don't even live on camp. They don't even go to school there. They live full time at Colorado Springs. So that's at some point in time, maybe the NCAA will do something about that. So, but there's just not a whole lot of ton of options out there for all these girls. I mean, look at the Iowa girls high school state tournament and how many girls qualify for that and compete at that, and then how many few programs are really out there at a high level to go and compete at. And so then McHenry's they got some good coaches there, as does is North Central. Um, and they're close, they're Midwest, and they pull these girls in, and it makes it very, very, very competitive. And it just goes to show that just because the University of Iowa women's program is Iowa, that's not just going to automatically win you a national title, even with Kylie Welker and Kennedy Blades in your lineup. So there's definitely some coaching that and heavy recruiting that needs to be done because there's other teams out there that relish in beating a high powerhouse school like Iowa. So that should be a lot of motivation for them, and some things that they probably need to look at internally as well too to get that national title back into their own trophy case.
Yep. And well, we'll talk sometime next week. We'll have to figure it out as we get ready to go to Cleveland. You get ready to go to Cleveland. And when are you guys heading out? You
We're
and
leaving
Steve?
Wednesday afternoon, normal time should be fine. I
Okay.
should be able to be in the hotel at that particular time and just Zoom it like always. So if anything, just plan on the normal time, 2:45 or whatever, you guys don't know when you post this stuff, but just figure a regular time. And it'll be an hour ahead there, but no big deal. It should work. If something's different, I will let you know.
Take Steven to the Christmas Story House.
The Christmas story. Well, I don't know if we'll have. I think we will have wheels. So maybe we'll have to go do that.
It's not very far from downtown and well worth your time.
Okay. All right. All
All
right.
right. Hey, Mark, appreciate it. And we'll talk next week on the eve of the NCAAs.
All right. Sounds good. Thanks so much, fellas. Great to see you as always.
You
See you,
bet.
Mark.
Good to see you, Mark. All right, Mark Ironside joining us here. And Mark's appearance, as always, brought to you by Kurt Gustafson Agency of American Family Insurance, Johnson Avenue Northwest in Cedar Rapids. And stop on by, get to know Kurt, and you can build your free auto, home, or life insurance quote and bundle policies there with Kurt. And just does a tremendous, tremendous job. So thanks to him. Thanks to Emil's Hideaway, First Avenue Southeast, our presenting sponsor in Cedar Rapids, as well as Hunt Graphic Innovations, Dr. John Woolner at Epiphany Dermatology on Council Street Northeast. Saw him on Monday down at the Boys State Basketball Tournament when Xavier was taking on ADM. And Bim Ritter Sportswear in Cedar Rapids, 817 2nd Avenue Southeast downtown, and online at bimritter.com. So, yes, going to be fun next week. Going to be an interesting, yeah, we know Penn State's going to win unless something crazy happens. But like Mark said, second through, I even go beyond sixth. Second through eighth is going to be a dogfight next week.
Yeah, I think so. And Iowa's going to have to do some special things. You were quite right that Iowa goes into with some momentum with eight of the wrestlers wrestling two or above their seeds at the Big Ten tournament. And the Big Ten tournament is no slouch, obviously. It's the best tournament in the country, the toughest tournament in the country. So I think Iowa does go in with some momentum, but they need Drake Ayala to get to the finals again. They need Caliendo to get to the finals. They need Patrick Kennedy. They need Keeter to live up to his All-America status. I don't know what to make of Ferrari. He's not going to be seated very highly, but he's certainly capable. They're going to have to do some really, really good things to get in the top five, I think.
Iowa State, I think they had two champions, the heavy two. Bastida, I think, has got a shot.
Yeah.
Welsh probably has a shot too at 97.
Elam, yeah.
Or Elam, Rocky Elam, I'm
Yeah.
sorry. And it's going to be interesting to see how they shake down too with that. I mean, Iowa's got three guys that are capable of getting into the finals. I think Iowa State's got two guys capable. Like we talked about with Doug Schwab's team, it was just a nightmare weekend in Oklahoma City for UNI. First time they hadn't had, I think it was 84, what Keck-Heisen was last year.
Mm-hmm.
First time they haven't had a finalist there in like umpteen years for UNI. Yeah, it's going to be tough, but it's going to be fun. It always is in Cleveland. And there are going to be a lot of good wrestling people there with it being sort of Midwest-ish still. And like like I said, I think it's going to be an Ohio State Penn State dual meet type atmosphere with the crowd. I don't think you'll see some Okie State, you'll see some Iowa, you'll see some Iowa State, um, Michigan, but it's going to be 90% of that arena is going to be wearing blue or red.
I'm interested to see how many national champions Penn State will have. I mean, seven out of the 10 champions at the Big Ten were Penn State. How many at the national tournament? Half?
Five, I'd say five.
Half?
Over under
Yeah.
4.5
Yeah.
or
Over.
5.5.
Five and a half. I think about five is good.
I think five would be good. And yeah, it's going to be fun. Going to be interesting. Before we go, earlier on today, I think the lock win for the Iowa men's basketball team. Boy, it was that first half is not going to be sent to the Hall of Fame in Springfield between Iowa and Maryland, but the Hawks did what they had to do. They started off with what 20-0 behind Bennett Sturts, and another great game from Cooper Koch in Chicago. Iowa moves on to take on Ohio State. That is important, but that is not as important as winning today because uh, they're in the field now, 99.9%.
Yeah, I think that solidified things today, but boy, it certainly didn't feel like an 11-point victory. I mean, a 21 to nothing run can do wonders for you, but I think Ben McCollum is just beating his head against the wall. Why the slow starts? At the end of the day, okay, you won by 11, but he even said in the post game comments, these slow starts, then I got to get mad in the huddle two or three times and get these guys going. I mean, I'm sure it's very frustrating for him because he puts a game plan in place and uh, shouldn't need any motivation at the Big Ten tournament level, knowing your situation. So I don't know why Iowa has typically started slowly. Not always, but typically starts slowly. But again, that 21 nothing run was everything.
Iowa State, it looked like a 40-point win
It did. It did.
against, in probably Bobby Hurley's last game at Arizona State. There's a lot of speculation he's not going to last very much longer down in Tempe. Um, we'll see how that plays out, but I'm starting to really think. I mean, this is Momchilovic's team. When he shows up and things go well, Iowa State is tough. When he doesn't hit the outside shots, Iowa State is susceptible. Do you buy that?
I do, very much so. I think you hit the nail on the head. I mean, Lipsy is typically very consistent. Jefferson is typically very consistent. Had another good day today.
Double double.
But now it gets real, though. I mean, you got Texas Tech and then what, Houston, if you win that game. It gets real now.
Yeah, Texas Tech, Houston, Arizona. It's
Yeah.
going to be tough, and it's not the end all for Iowa and Iowa State. You want to get as far as you can, no doubt, in these tournaments. But for Iowa, what are they going to do? Somebody asked me down in Des Moines, you know, Iowa stuck on the 8-9 line. Yeah, I think Iowa's stuck. Only way Iowa gets up to a 7 mark is if they beat Michigan.
Hmm.
Maybe they get even a 6. I don't know. But if they win or lose against Ohio State, I say if they lose Ohio State, they're a 9. If they win, they're an 8, which really doesn't matter.
That seems reasonable, and it doesn't matter. I was going to face a different Ohio State team, as you know, than it did in Columbus, it wasn't in Columbus, but um, Thornton and that team is playing a whole lot better than when it faced Iowa.
They did not look good that night in Iowa City.
No.
But since then, they have looked good. For Iowa State, I suppose if you get to the final, you can get a 2, right?
Mm,
I think they're stuck on the 3 line.
I think that's more likely than not. Depends on what the other two contenders do. Number two contenders, that is. I think three is probably pretty reasonable for Iowa State, no matter what.
And pretty much everybody across the board, as you and I right on that 12 line. So
Mhm.
we'll see how the Panthers play out. And kudos to the state of Iowa for 3 of the 4 Division I men's basketball teams to get into the big dance this year. There aren't a lot of, I don't think there's another state with our population that can say that. And the percentage, I think Iowa has the best percentage of Division I men's basketball teams that are going to make the tournament.
75% is pretty good, is it?
Not bad.
Yeah.
And the Iowa women are going to be in. Iowa State women more than likely are going to be in. Go down to Coralville. They had the wrestling last weekend. Now they go to the Missouri Valley Conference women's basketball tournament. That'll be fun down there. And get out and see some good basketball if you like. All right. We'll do her again on Friday. No basketball to worry about for me. Wish there was.
That works for me. We'll have another good one Friday.
We will. And we'll know a lot more about how March Madness is playing out with the Big Ten and the Big 12. And
Maybe we'll talk Sienna and Ryan Mulvey. I don't know.
maybe we'll talk about that court in Kansas City. Mixed reviews on the court, by the way. Some people love it. Some people absolutely hate it. Yeah, the players, anyway, in Kansas City.
Didn't seem to bother Iowa State today.
No, hey, they'll play it on that thing every time if you get 90 plus. Big thanks to Evil's Hideaway, Bim Ritter Sportswear, as well as Hunt Graphic Innovations, Kurt Gustafson Agency of American Family Insurance. Can't do it without them, as well as Dr. John Woolner at Epiphany Dermatology on Council Street Northeast in Cedar Rapids. We'll talk later in the week, Mark.
You got it.
All right. This has been the Unash and Dukes podcast. Thanks for joining us, and we will talk to you later.